We are very excited to have John Kuhn join us now via the Rude Guest Hotline, RUUD. Kuhn, what's up, man? How you been?
Hey, great intro there, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it was the 15-year anniversary of our Super Bowl 45 team this past weekend, so we got one of those in the stadium, and it was a lot of fun.
That's cool, crazy. Cool. 15 years, man. Very cool. Glad the Pack fans still love you. I know you're doing the radio broadcast and doing a whole bunch of stuff up there when you're not playing sick golf courses. Let's talk about what you saw from the Packers' Week 1 win over the Lions.
Well, it's simple. This is a team that, for the first time in a while, doesn't have to beat you mentally, doesn't have to trick you in order to be dominant. And what I mean by that is, the addition of Micah Parsons and the development of some of these young core players like Devontae Wyatt and Adrian Cooper and Quay Walker has now made this defense physically imposing so that they can go out there and win their one-on-one battles. It used to be we have to sit back, we have to play safe, and we have to pick our spots when we want to go try and rush the passer and really get pressure on a quarterback, or really try and a lot of run blitzes, to be honest, to be able to stay firm in the run game. But the Packers' defense looks very formidable this year against a Lions offense, granted, without Ben Johnson, but was the leading scoring offense in the National Football League last year. They stymied him, held him to 6 points in the first 59 minutes of that game. Defense, first and foremost, looks to be very, very tough this year.
Well, you have one pass rusher like a Micah Parsons. He's going to get a lot of attention. Are there enough people on the other side to make sure teams don't say, let's focus on him and get him out the game?
Oh yeah. It was very clear in this first football game that the Detroit Lions did everything they could to try and make sure that Micah Parsons didn't wreck the game. But that in itself did wreck their game plan. Every chip that Jahmyr Gibbs has to deliver to Micah Parsons and be available for, he's not free-releasing on his route, and we know how dangerous he can be out of the backfield. Every time a thump comes for Sam Laporta, the tight end, he is now a little bit slower to get into his route. And every time Micah Parsons might not get to the quarterback, but flashes in front of a quarterback's face, they go, oh my gosh, there's one of the scariest men in the National Football League. So he definitely makes everybody's job easier on the defensive side, and no better example of that than the interception of Evan Williams, which was a simple drop down into the box, cover 2 type situation, and Jared Goff didn't have time to see the coverage change post-snap and throw it right to the safety.
Talking with John Kuhn, Packers legend, Super Bowl champion up there in Green Bay. You could give him a follow at KuhnJ30, KUHNJ30. Listen to him on the Packers radio network. Getting Parsons for them, B and I saw this stat that when Brett Favre was 27 years old when they got Reggie White and they won a Super Bowl, and then with your team, when you guys got Charles Woodson, Aaron was 27 and you won the Super Bowl, and now Jordan Love is 27 and you just got Micah Parsons. Does it feel special around this team, understanding it's early in the season?
Well, there has been a script for the last 30 years in Green Bay, and each of their Hall of Fame quarterbacks that preceded Jordan Love have won Super Bowls with their corresponding defensive mate. And for Aaron, it was Charles, and for Brett, it was Reggie. And everybody, following that script that we've seen here a few times now says, okay, well, now Micah Parsons is that for Jordan Love. And those guys that he's taken over for another Hall of Famer, and we got really excited a few years ago. But you could see the way that complementary football plays in Green Bay, and that's what they wanted coming into this football season. Brian Gutekunst made it very clear and evident. The time is now with Jordan Love. It's almost funny getting ready for Washington, and I see the way that Washington has developed their roster around their young quarterback, and they really did it with a lot of old veteran leadership to try and compete now versus the Packers way, which was let's refresh this thing, let's get very youthful, and once our youth gets some some playing time, some experience. Then we'll add that one or two missing veteran pieces in a Micah Parsons. Washington, on the other hand, you look down the list and you see Bobby Wagner, you see Marshawn Lattimore, you see Von Miller. On the defensive side, they chose to, hey, we got this young quarterback now. We're going to go after it while we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. What offensively, it seemed like they kind of kept it fairly simple against Detroit because the defense was just dominant. Now, I only got to watch a little bit. I haven't gone back and really watched the All-22 or anything. Offensively, how did they look against the Lions?
Well, as far as the offense goes, I had two questions coming into this regular season. In the preseason, Jordan Love missed some time. He had a thumb surgery, torn ligament in his left hand, missed a decent amount of practice time. So because of that, I was nervous about what that would look like with his young wide receivers. Even some of the young wide receivers missed some time during camp, but they look to have that connection early on in this football game. A couple of deep balls that really connected nicely, and Jordan Love answered that thought. The second question I had was, the offensive line is kind of revamped in Green Bay. Elton Jenkins has moved to center. Banks comes in from the 49ers to left guard. And where's Jordan Morgan, last year's first-round pick, going to play? Well, he cycled in and out with Sean Ryan at the right guard. And the offensive line, even though it struggled in the first half to run the football, Josh Jacobs, 13 carries, 58 yards in the second half, very productive. And that, to me, is what eventually broke the will of this Lions defense and broke the game open.
Well, a lot of people talk about, like, I know Jordan Love, the quarterbacks get a lot of attention, but I believe I'm still one of the old school guys where I feel you got to have a running game to help those young quarterbacks out. Josh Jacobs, how good has he been?
No doubt, Brian. He has been every bit the running back one that they went out and got last year. He's a guy, he can. In today's NFL, a lot of teams don't like to do it, but he can tote that rock 25 to 30 times a game if needed. We saw that last year when Jordan Love went down. And now that Jordan Love is back, they can lean on him in games like we saw this past Sunday, where if you want to be physical, if you want to be the team that delivers the punch, he can be that guy that's throwing the punches while the defense is on the other side. For the first time in a long time, the identity of this Packers team does not feel like it's going to go as far as the quarterback carries us. It feels like it's going to be defensive and run game oriented with big play availability in the pass game.
It's wild looking defensively because you had Gary, you had McKinney, you add Parsons to that. I mean, that defense just looks so good. But at the same time, John, Washington's coming in with a little bit of swag. They made the NFC title run last year. What is kind of what do the Packers think about Jaden and facing this Washington offense, which wasn't fully clicking last week, but I think most folks expect it to get there?
Well, listen, I just got done watching the film of Washington versus the Giants, and there were a couple plays that had they got made. I think there was one to Debo, there was one to Scary Terry, there was one Jaden Daniels run that almost popped off. There was a couple plays that had they popped off, Washington, and they wasted some points at the end of the first half. Washington could have easily scored 30 points in this football game. So the Packers know very well that the vibes feel good in Green Bay, but the vibes equally feel great in Washington coming off of what they did last year and this young quarterback and what he is able to do. Jaden Daniels is something different now. He is a guy that when he pulls the ball down, you have to have 11 eyes looking at him, or he could go all the way for a touchdown and hit his head on the goalpost. He is a very special athletic talent, and the Packers are very aware of how the rush game is going to have to be different against Jaden Daniels than what it was against Jared Goff.
When you look at a guy like Jaden, what is it about him? I know when quarterbacks put pressure on defenses, how do they have to play him? When you look at him, do you attack him, or do you kind of have to change it up a little bit?
Well, I think you saw it some against the Giants. You'd like to be able to go man so you could send an extra guy in the rush game, kind of get 5 bodies on 5 bodies and try and clean up all the lanes. But you can't do that because the secondary is going to have their back turned to him, and if he gets free, he's going to run wild. So you have to be very good at mixing in a lot of zone against Jaden Daniels, and he's got a mind and an arm that can see what coverage you're in and deliver the football on time. He's extremely accurate with his arm. He can throw from the pocket, and yet if you are stymieing coverage, if you do have that sticky coverage that they like to call, that guy can pull the ball down and run. Edgerrin Cooper, to me, he's going to have a very big game. He is the second-year linebacker for the Packers that I think is ready to take that big jump into all-pro, Pro Bowl status, somewhere at that elite level of a linebacker play. If he is taking that jump this year, this will be a big sign in this football game. How does he neutralize Jaden Daniels when Jaden Daniels does pull that ball down?
I can't wait. I think Thursday night is going to be a lot of fun. I think Lambeau will be rocking. But, John, I got to ask, if you got to watch Monday Night Football last night, I know the Vikings are a big rival, but the collapse from the Bears must have felt good for the Packers crowd.
In Green Bay, we don't like any of them. And we especially don't like the Honolulu Blue that has been showing up to Lambeau since Detroit and Dan Campbell has been on this run. But when you see the Bears lose, when you see the Bears collapse in the fourth quarter, that is something extra special. That's like that free beer at the end of a round, JP, right? when you won some money against the people you were playing with, right? That's that extra cherry on top, and it was extra sweet last night watching that happen to Chicago.
I bet. Speaking of free beer, how were you whistling yesterday or Aaron Hills? Hard to keep track.
Yeah, we were whistling yesterday. It was a part of that alumni weekend that I said, a whole bunch of festivities that started on Thursday and they'll finish today. And it's a nice little recognition that they do for the Super Bowl team when there's a special kind of celebration every 5 to 10 years. We get something like this. So it's been a lot of fun. Awesome. We were at whistling yesterday, swinging the sticks, but it was windy, and when you play whistling in the wind, it's very tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. John, thank you so much for the time, dude. We'll see you on Thursday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, John. Take care, man.
John Kuhn, great Packers fullback, Super Bowl winner. Give him a follow at KuhnJ30, KUHNJ30. Really appreciate John making time for us. That's a busy dude. Check him out on the Packers radio broadcast.